Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how good the volume is. We'll have to check on that in a minute. But my name is Brent Barlow, and this is a special on the road edition of Blue Light Daily, a discussion of relevance and import. We are broadcasting on this. It is the noon hour, about 8 p.m. GMT, Tuesday, February 10th. We are on the road, broadcasting live. We are driving through Santa Clarita, California. I'm not sure what this canyon is called. I'll figure it out. We're heading northbound on the 14 freeway, headed to the Antelope Valley, and ultimately to our Alt Studio Eastern Sierra, where we'll be broadcasting for the next couple of days. It is a chilly day. Woo! But it feels good. Hey, it's hot in here. There's a storm a-brewing here in Southern California. We should be hitting some weather here shortly. The skies are gray and cloudy. Nothing like they're getting in the rest of the country, but that is what it is. Let's see who's out there. Got our beautiful wife, our amazing children. Buster James just gave me a call, check on how I was doing. The beautiful Juliana Violet is in NYC trying to stay warm. And the most incredible, talented Isabella Maria just dyed her hair and is super purple right now. Looks awesome. Had coffee with Mom this morning. That was nice. A lot of people have asked how she's doing. It's been 2.5 months now that my father passed. And, I think she's doing okay. All things considered, she was with that man for 60 years. Ups and downs, life's trials, tribulations, joys and sorrows. A man that she was in denial she'd ever have to live without. And I think we're all savoring what was, what we got to enjoy with him, and grateful for that. It's really in the gratitude that we're able to find some peace, some joy, some happiness, I think. My wife suggested the other day an exercise of basically identifying that for which you are grateful. There are a lot of different methods, a gratitude list, a specific mantra where you're identifying a set of things that you're grateful for. But regardless, focusing on what you have as opposed to what you don't can tend to make what you have feel all the more valuable. So I have great memories. I've got awesome pictures, got stories for days, and I have a number of quirks and personality traits that are informed by the man. So I'm doing okay, I guess. Told you Marty warned that at some point I would be crying the tears and feeling the feelings and it would all be coming out. And I know that's true. Yeah, I am behind the wheel in a not self-driving car. Whoop. All right. I wonder how, if at all, I can see if you've got any questions or whatever for me. I don't even think anybody's out there. So it really doesn't matter. But if you do have questions, you can let me know. The drive through the canyon is 20 or so minutes, 20, 30 minutes. And we end up in Palmdale, Lancaster, and ultimately Mojave, the Antelope Valley. So with regard to how those tears are or are not coming that Marty warned me about, I've definitely been tasting them. And as Sensei Gary promised, crying those tears are the only way to get through the feelings. And trust me, I could care less. I am not so machismo or have such the ego that I can't cry. And at the moment, I feel like I could cry at the drop of a hat, so don't tempt me. A lot of trucks on the road. All right. Was discussing with my wife this morning the idea of recalibration. Today's word of the day is recalibrate. Recalibrate means to get a system back on track where there is disconnection, an attempt to reorient, reorganize, and get the system back online. So I feel like part of my process is a recalibration of my reality. Thank God no one's here. We'll say that. I am alone, but not. I'm here with you. Without you. About my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law. As I think I've said before, two people who are on my very short list, on my very short list of favorite people on the planet. She gave me the most thoughtful birthday present, and I have yet to thank her for it. So allow this to be the start of that appreciation. Darling, that was so well received and so touching. She had a number of shirts embroidered with my logo, and pretty special, pretty cool. So thank you very much for that. I'm sorry that I've been a little distracted these last couple days this weekend and have been unable to express that gratitude appropriately. And again, let this be the first step in so thanking you. That was extremely thoughtful. You've always been that way, and I appreciate it very much. I can tell stories. I got a ticket right here once. If I thought about how many times I've been right here, this drive coming and going, I couldn't even imagine. Hundreds. I remember one time I was coming up, I had a convertible Mustang GT 5.0. It was like, I don't know, like 90s maybe. And whenever I drove, unless it was raining and raining hard, that top was down. So one time with a dear friend of mine, Steve Minko, to Mammoth. I don't remember why we were driving up to Mammoth in a blizzard down and forced him to bundle up like Nanook. And we drove the whole way, call it 4.5, 5 hours, with the top down in the middle of the winter with slight snow flurries along the drive. It was hysterical. Then there was one I was driving up with some kid. I don't even remember. This was so long ago. I was just telling him how brilliant I am. And how, you got to be grateful and you got to just accept that things play out the way that they play out. And you can't control it. You just roll with it, whatever. And going on for like a half hour, 45 minutes, when all of a sudden the light behind me and I get pulled over for speeding and have to rant that I'm giving this kid about being grateful and appreciating the universe and God working in our favor, that I just got a ticket. Well, that is going to cause some problems with a live broadcast. I will say that. If I can't even keep this thing on the dashboard, I'm screwed. And I don't know if you can even hear me, so that's another thing. I don't know, maybe instead of going live, I'll just record. And look, it's all bouncing up and down. Hello, everybody. My name is Brent Barlow. I want to at least get to the Antelope Valley, to the other side of the hill, so you can see what's going on. I wonder if I can turn the camera. Boom, 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 boom. Mirror camera. Ooh, I can do that. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Now you can see and read. And all right, well, that's better. Let's see what else I can do aside from crash. Michelle would be so pissed at me right now. Remove video settings. Let's see what that does. Virtual background recordings. What is that? Recordings. Cloud recording, local recordings. Well, I told you guys I'm a cheap ass bastard. I'm using the free version of this Restream. So I can only do 2 platforms. I'm doing YouTube to record this and TikTok because my wife told me I need to be on TikTok. Guess we could talk about a couple things that are going on. Again, I've been out of pocket. I'm in the process of recalibration. But the Olympics have been awesome. Watched some luge yesterday. Been watching some women's hockey. That's been great. Some ski jumping. Some curling. You can't watch the Olympics and not watch curling. What else? I forgot what they call it. Biathlon or by something, where they ski and shoot. Watch some figure skating. There's a cop right here. And everybody's slowing down to 45 miles an hour. Gotta be kidding me. But what is most shocking is how can President Trump, how can Don ridicule and badmouth some of our American athletes? This guy, something Hunter with a B. He's a snowboarder, I think. And he expressed some modest concern about what's going on in the country. Something I hate to tell you, Don, but a number of members of the Republican Party, as well as most Democrats and most independents, most Americans, are worried about what's going on in the United States right now. So to ridicule one of our Olympians for expressing some concern about the current state of things, man, that's about as un-American as I can possibly think you could do. To ridicule someone who is committed to winning gold, being the best in the world as an American. Fucking asshole. So I will tell you, this last weekend on the New Yorker Radio Hour, a program that I strongly recommend, Ben Shapiro was interviewed. Hang on a sec. Fart ton. Oop, shoot. This is really going to be rough if I can't do this. Anyway, Ben Shapiro was interviewed. Damn it. And I'll admit, I have never heard such an in-depth interview of the guy. Got admitted to UCLA when he was 16. For those of you who don't know, he's one of Trump's most loyal insiders, a young kid, speechwriter, policy shaper, presidential whisperer. And he originally started writing he went into the Daily Bruin, the UCLA newspaper, after reading an article when he was 16 years old that had to do with Ariel Sharon, who at the time was prime minister of Israel. And he wanted to offer a counterpoint. Long story short, the Daily Bruin hired him as their regular counterpoint guy. Why is my hand on the phone? Which led to more articles, and his, as he called it, fully formed conservative ideals at such a young age. And look, the guy's smart and articulate and a doer. So he said he had voted for Trump the first go around and didn't vote for Trump the second go around because in the last election, the binary choice between an unacceptable Trump and an unacceptable Kamala Harris caused him to just say, screw it, I'm not going to vote. And this is a guy who's very politically active. So now, I don't know how you justify working for the president that you didn't vote for, but whatever. At the most recent, at the Turning Point USA Winter Solstice, I don't even know what it's called, which was at Ole Miss, I think it was in December, where Erica spoke, J.D. Vance spoke, the president spoke, and it was the first one after Charlie Kirk had been killed. Ben Shapiro was the first speaker, and he basically ripped a number of conservative voices, such as Tucker Carlson, for giving Nick Fuentes a platform. And if you didn't follow it, it really showed some of the fractures within the conservative movement. TPUSA, as I've said before, again and again and again and again and again and again and again, is one of the most potent examples of youth empowerment and leveraging, activating a huge number of college age kids to become politically active, and is a model that everyone should pay heed to. So Ben Shapiro was the first speaker at this event, and he ripped Tucker Carlson for giving Nick Fuentes a platform. Nick Fuentes, the guy who basically is a Holocaust denier, a misogynist, and a very loud conservative voice. He's on the most ultra conservative side. Trump said that he didn't know who Nick Fuentes was when Trump had dinner last year with Nick and Kanye, who at the time was apparently suffering from some diagnosable condition and spouting off Nazi and some heavy misogynistic tropes. So Ben has become this voice in the conservative movement. And I gotta say that everything he said during this interview, I didn't agree with, but goddamn, guy is articulate, and he's got uh, insight, and he's certainly not speaking out of his butt. So I'll tell you, I'm planning to reach out to him. That's somebody who will be around for a while, I would think. And he's part of this group of young people who have really risen as a result of the MAGA movement and this trend toward conservative Christian values. These young kids are just being given a platform and a voice. Everybody with a podcast and a Substack has the ability. If you can't hear me, it's just I'm enough. And in some instances, if you can't hear me, it's because I'm not being provocative enough. I've told you, trust but verify. Okay. And there really is nothing more important. See it. Come down over the for, well, if it was super clear, I could see for easy. I can see pretty far. This would be considered the high desert. So again, this is where I'm from. This is where I live. This is where I be. This is where I is. And now I've seen in just the last half mile, 2 cops, 2 chippies, California Highway Patrol officers with lights flashing. All right, that's it. So I'm in the Antelope Valley. There it is. All right, I'm going to go until the next time this thing falls. Now, I usually stop up here and get gas, but I think I'm going to muscle through and stop a little bit further. I got to consider nutritionals and if I want to eat. Probably 3.5 hours away. I know what time it is. If I had to guess, I'd say it's almost noon. Almost noon, about noon. And we have arrived in Palmdale. If you don't know Afro Man, and his song Palmdale. I strongly suggest you check it out. It is hip hoppity awesome. Afro Man. Julie Violet turned me onto that. How many of you out there have a 60 or know anybody who's a 60-year-old father who hangs out with their kids and listens to their music and likes it, plays with them and draws with them and runs around with them and has fun with them? Let me tell you, that's what I'm talking about. Brendan, Buster James, who just called, my man, didn't know that I was going to be coming up. He just got back from being out of town and didn't know that I was going to be going up. This was kind of a last minute thing, actually. So was bummed because he would have wanted to come visit and would have loved me to stop by, would wished he could come up with me, but I'm extremely grateful that my kids like me enough that they want to be with me. That's cool. So we'll be going through the Mojave Desert. For those of you who don't know, considered the high desert, gets very cold at night. It has snowed. It's not a complete unusual occurrence here in the valley. And it can get super hot also. Well, I said I was going to go till that happened, so I guess that's it. I was going to sing a little bit. All right, I'll tell you what. We'll come back to this and figure it out later. But like I said, right now, unfortunately, this thing is just not staying mounted, and I'm going to have to figure that piece out. I do plan on checking in throughout, and I will do it here, there, and everywhere. But for the now, I'm going to wrap up this special on-the-road episode of Blue Light Daily by telling you that love is love, and you can never say it enough. I care, you care, we care. No one has to do it alone. We're reclaiming our sovereignty, guys. I am unwilling to sit on the sidelines. Throwing a party, you're invited. No one will do it for us. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Steal like Picasso. Opportunity, it lay everywhere. You get to decide, folks. Never let anyone tell you different. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment. Be well. God bless. Peace out.